Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Love Letters to Pam. Of course, a big welcome to those of you watching on the YouTube channel, Traveling with Jack and Pam. Well, some of you may have tuned in and seen because you saw the headline, the Social Security ripoff. Yeah, I was going for a little bit of a wow factor there because I want to share with you something that I need your help with. I need one of these videos on our YouTube channel or on the podcast to go viral so I can make a little money. It's a lot of work. I know you may not think so. It's a lot of work putting together these programs. So if you like these episodes, please share them. Now, here's the key though. You can't just share the link on your social media networks. When you share the link to the YouTube channel, the algorithms kick it out because it's competing with whatever social media you're putting it on there. I just need you to encourage people to visit our channel. And if you can, sometimes just tell them where to go. I know it sounds confusing, but who knows? Maybe this will be the big one that goes viral. There's a little lady on YouTube who did a thing about Social Security benefits and how terrible things were and such. And she had a video go viral that is. And now though, she's kind of crying and going, oh, I'm only getting $600 a month or $500 a month from YouTube. It's like, really? That's pretty darn good. That's a good side income coming in off of that. I'd like and I do think though, the message I'm going to share with you is important enough that it should go viral. Now there's lots of information out there about Social Security. You also have the gurus out there who tell you to run the calculators to help determine when should you start taking Social Security benefits. But what I want to talk about, and I've actually had to make some notes because I want to be perfectly clear on a lot of this and not mislead you. And again, I'm not a financial expert, so don't take my advice and say, well, that's what I'll do. And I doubt if any of you would take financial advice from a guy that's living in a rented place and who is getting by. I'm doing okay, but I'm not rich by any means. But I want to talk to you about Social Security and how it works because I have spoke with a lot of people who said they had absolutely no idea that that's how the system works. Now, I'm going to use the example being myself and Pam. Yes, we were saving, putting away in a 401k plan. But when she got ill with cancer in her bones and such, and we were doing some different things, the bills were mounting up. And we quickly went through our liquid savings. And then I had to start tapping the retirement savings. And we started spending that. And that money started to go away rather quickly. And then when she passed, I've told the story before, I had a huge life insurance policy on me because statistically, men are going to go first, and I wanted her to have a beautiful condo in La Jolla or wherever she wanted to be. I did have a small policy on her, and I encourage you, men who are watching, have life insurance on your wives. It is important. I wish I'd had a lot more, but what I did have allowed me to pay off all the medical bills and left me with just a tiny bit of money in savings after spending all that money on various treatments and things that she had to have done. So it kind of left me in a precarious state. I'm now, believe it or not, I'm in my early 60s. And Pam and I had thought that by the time we hit maybe about 64, 65, we were thinking, you know, even on just Social Security, our two combined checks was going to be over $4,000 a month, and we have no debt. Then we didn't, and I don't now. We thought, you know, we could live pretty good on that. And I think most people could, depending on your situation. So when she passed, and even though all the retirement money had been wiped out, I thought, well, she paid into the system for 30 years. I should still be okay. You know, I'll draw mine and draw hers. And you're probably already shaking your head going, no, that's not how it works. How come you didn't know? And here's the big secret. And it's not a secret for many of you. That's not how it works. You don't get to draw your spouse's Social Security. Now, I shouldn't say that. They give you a choice. You could draw one or the other, but you can't draw both. Well, in her case, she didn't earn as much money over her lifetime as I have. So her check was going to be less, so I certainly didn't want to pull that account if I decided to draw. So I'd let mine continue to accumulate. So I said, okay, I called Social Security Administration. What am I entitled to? Well, so she paid in the system for over 30 years. And here's where I say the Social Security ripoff plan comes in. You know what you get when your spouse dies? And if they're the lower wage earner, you're going to wait and maybe have to draw your Social Security later on because it will be the higher one. Well, from Pam's account, that she paid in hundreds of thousands of dollars over 30 years, I got a check for $250. That's right, a one-time check of $250. Now, I asked the Social Security Administration, I said, where did all of her money go? And they'll tell you, well, it goes to help everybody else's Social Security payments. And I'm like, well, wait. I thought that was the point of all of us paying into the system. We're paying all this money in. And we hear these stories all the time, how government has been borrowing from Social Security. That being our representatives in Congress, all the way up to the White House. They've been borrowing off of our money that we paid into the system. Now, from where I come from, since they're not paying it back and since it just went away, that's criminal, isn't it? That money that we paid in and we thought we would get later on just being gone because they borrowed against it, or we have to help with what's left to pay other people's Social Security benefits. Well, it just seems so messed up to me. Now, I'm thinking, okay, I could have lived with a one-time payment from her passing from Social Security Administration of say, let's say 10% of what she paid in. And say that round number she paid in $250,000 or what, I don't know what it is. But let's say they sent me a check for $25,000 as a one-time settlement from her Social Security plan, as opposed to me getting her monthly benefits. You know what? I could feel a little bit better about that. And I think that would be fair, don't you? It seems fair. It seems like we ought to get a portion of it, but $250? That's it? One time, one and done, you're gone? Now, of course, there are lots of you watching who are financially well off. You had a great game plan. It's paid off for you, and I'm happy for you. Shame on me and Pam. We didn't have as much as we should have, okay? And shame on us for thinking that what we paid into Social Security was going to help take care of us in those later years. It's made me think long and hard, though, about what am I going to do in the future. And the point being, you know, I can probably get by because I will have a decent Social Security payment. I hear where the average across the nation is like $1,600 a month. And I will tell you, I'm not going to get into my specifics. Mine is a good bit better than that. I've had some good earning years, but I still feel a little ripped off that I can't get what she had as well. Now, here's another thing that happens. The government, okay, first of all, we get slapped in the head after we lose our spouse, and we get that little $250 check, and thank you very much, move on now. The other thing our government does, which is just a really, really sweet little gift, I mean, this is so nice of them, is now when you file your federal income taxes, you're bumped up into the higher bracket because now you're filing as a single person. The government seems to think that, well, now that I'm single, I should have to pay more taxes. I don't know who came up with that plan. So this past year, I ended up paying taxes. Yeah, I had plenty taken out of my checks, but then being bumped up into that single category, it still wasn't quite enough. And so I got to write the check back to the government for some more money. And the whole time where I'm writing that IRS check, I'm thinking, how come though all that money Pam paid in is still gone? I don't know. It just seems like the system is really broken, and a lot of people are out there with all these crazy ideas and such. But I guess my advice would be, especially if you're a younger person watching this, is indeed, you know, they always tell you, don't depend on Social Security. Everybody says that. But I'm going to tell you, both my grandparents, they had nice retirements living on their Social Security benefits. They were not wealthy people. They didn't work for big corporations. They didn't have big 401k plans. They had very modest savings, to my knowledge. Nothing huge. I mean, I could tell by what they were doing. And then after they passed, that was revealed to us as well. And I would say that's kind of where Pam and I were. Modest savings and thinking Social Security would be able to take care of things for us. Thank goodness I have good health, so I don't have any issues there and whatever, and I don't really worry about it that much. But that old saying, too, of two can live cheaper than one is exactly right. Because in her passing, I've also thought about, in the years now that have followed, it's been 3+ years, I mean, yes, I miss her dearly, my best friend in life for over 35 years. But I miss her income, too. I got to tell you, her income combined with my income, yeah, things went pretty well until she got ill. And then that all went away. But I'm finding that, you know, I still pay the same amount in housing. Groceries, well, they're really not any cheaper because grocery prices have gotten higher, even though I'm just buying for one. Gasoline is higher. Everything is higher priced. So I really miss her income. Discretionary income, well, I don't have as much of that anymore. Now, don't mind you, I'm not going to cry poor mouth. I'm doing okay. But I'd like to be doing better. And so I'm working on things. You know, that's the reason I have a YouTube channel. That's why I have a podcast. Things like that generates a little extra income. So now your question is, well, boy, I didn't know about it. And I did. I met a woman just yesterday who we were having this very discussion. And she said, well, her and her husband had done the math and they were going to be fine. They were planning on going ahead and retiring, even though their 401k plans, like lots of ours, has taken a huge hit over the last couple of years. They said, our Social Security payments will be just fine. And then I told her my story. I said, well, keep in mind, if one of you passes, you're going to have to do one or the other. Whichever one's the higher is the only one you can draw. She goes, no, that's not right. I said, yes, it is. And so she sat there and she looked it up on her phone through the Social Security Administration. She goes, oh my gosh. She says, why doesn't everybody know this? Well, a lot of people find out the hard way, and that was my case as well. And I know I'm rambling, and there are lots of experts who are watching this saying, you should have done this, you should have done that. But you know, here's the deal. Life doesn't go as we plan. You may have $1 million in savings, you and your wife right now. You may think, oh, I'm not going to need Social Security. But who's to say one of you doesn't get an illness that wipes out that money? And then that illness takes your life, and then you're left with nothing but Social Security, and that savings you had is gone as well. Well, you can end up there. It's like that old saying goes, you don't know till you've walked in my shoes. So here's some ideas for you. For those of you that are already widowed, men or women, and maybe you're in retirement years, and maybe you don't have a ton of money. And maybe you're struggling to get by on Social Security. Well, a lot of these things, though, are going to be nothing new to you. But one thing is, consider a roommate or roommates. Remember that show? What was it? The one in Florida? The women? Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I can't remember what the name of that show was. Oh, my gosh. Betty White. Y'all know what I mean. I can hear, thank you for being a friend. I can hear the music to it. Anyway, you know, that was their idea. 3 women living together, had a beautiful home. I mean, you have 3 people. You know, let's say you rent you're not buying, but you're renting like in the Scottsdale area, you can rent a beautiful home for $2,500 a month. If 3 of you are renting a $2,500 a month home, which is a nice home, you know, what is that? $825 a piece. Yeah, you can live a pretty good life then. So maybe consider roommates. And I do think women are way better at that than men. I don't know hardly any men over the age of, say, 45 or 50 who are sharing living spaces with anybody. It's just not in the DNA. But I do know of a lot of women doing that. Another thing, though, this seems to be a little more popular with men than women, is the RV life. You know, you can buy an RV and live in it relatively cheaply, but you do need to remember park fees and things, overnight fees can sometimes run as much as $50, $60 a night in some of those parks. Start doing the math on that. Well, you could be living in a house, an apartment, or a condo cheaper than that. Now, if you are blessed and have a home, Pam and I were planning to buy a house at our last move. Otherwise, I'd be telling you about, I have this house, I'll get it paid off, that'll be my place. Again, life didn't go as planned, but maybe you're close to being able to pay off your house. Good for you. Housing is going to be your #1 cost, so if you can get that under control, you're going to have a pretty good life even in your later years. Housing is going to be #1. I know then medical is after that. and then so on and so forth. Now, let's take a look here. Another thing you can do, of course, is part-time employment. Even if you're drawing Social Security, I think the new numbers that just came out, you can earn $21,000, $22,000 on top of your Social Security benefit. Now, keep this in mind too. You want to have taxes taken out of that part-time job for sure, so you don't get in trouble with the IRS, because you're going to be filing as a single person. And you're going to need to get with your accountant, or there's some online calculators to determine if you want to have withholding tax out of your Social Security benefit. Hey, bet you didn't know about that. Yeah. You can pay federal income taxes on your Social Security tax. And for every dollar you earn over your Social Security benefit, they reduce your benefit by $1 or something like that. Go on the website and look at it. There's dangers, though, in earning too much money while you're on Social Security. But if you figure, all right, let's say you're that typical person getting $1,600, $1,700 a month from Social Security. Let's say you work a part-time job that you make, $350 a week, maybe $400 a week, because you can keep it under that minimum. That's $20,800. Then you're going to net out of that about $3.25. So that's maybe $1,300, $1,400 net per month, plus the $1,700. That's $3,100 a month. Okay. If you can get your housing costs under control, you can live okay on that. So part-time employment is good. And do keep in mind that you do get occasional raises with your Social Security benefit. This past year, they had their biggest one ever, I think, or not ever, but first one in a long time. It was like 8%. It's generally only going to be anywhere from, it could be as little as 0% to 3 or 4%. Now, here's the other thing about Congress. They're not worried about Social Security. They could care less. You know why? They got a government pension. That's right. They're in government. They're taken care of. They got benefits for life. They got money for life. Their bank accounts are good. So, they're giving us lip service on this Social Security thing. They really, really are. And that really bugs me. They should have to pay a price for this, because there's so many people out there who are hurting through no fault of their own. Now, also on the Social Security benefits, remember you can start them as early as 62, but for every year that you wait, that number starts to go up ever so slowly. And if you're a lot of people in our generation, full retirement age is going to be 66 or 67. It's pretty decent. And then Social Security Administration says you want to play the odds, wait till you're 70. Hey, they'll give you a nice bonus. That's where, though, you got to look at those Social Security calculators and how long you think you may live. And those of us, if you're watching, who have lost spouses at fairly young ages like me, you're thinking, boy, I'd sure like to take it sooner than later, because I've seen the proof that we never know how long this life is going to be. Another piece of advice you might consider, and again, consider the price you're paying for this particular program, is look at maybe moving to a cheaper part of the country. Now, I know you love living near your kids in Santa Monica, California, but you can't afford Santa Monica, California anymore, and you really don't want to live with the kids. You may want to look at some other parts of the country. One of the cheapest places in America to live is the state of Alabama. You're going, oh, good golly, I'd never live in Alabama. Listen, it's like any place. Go there and visit. There's some nice areas. I've looked at parts of Alabama. You get down around Dothan, places like that. It's pretty darn inexpensive down there. It really is. You're not that far from the Gulf of Mexico. It's warm most of the year. Yeah, you got storms, things like that. And if a hurricane comes on shore, you're far enough inland, you're not going to get it wiped off the map. That's just one example. Most of the West Coast states are going to be very, very expensive unless you get in some really, really rural areas. Here in Arizona, it's somewhat pricey. There are parts of the Phoenix area, though, that you can find that are pretty reasonably priced. You just got to look. So do your homework. Go on sites like Realtor.com and Zillow, not necessarily for buying, but you can also put in rental. Do your homework and go to, look up, just put, rental properties or property management companies in particular cities you may be looking at. Take a look at their listings and see how they look. There's also a really neat website called City Data, city-data. It's got a section on it called, it's a forum, where you can go in and you can click on a state and then a city and read what people are saying about living in those communities. The bottom line is do your homework. And you know what? You may move the first time And that may not work out as planned. The good news is you're just on your own these days. Pick up, go somewhere else. You know, and then back to living with family, that works for some, not a lot. It's kind of like our dear adopted grandmother Lola said. You know, visiting with family, she said she always had the old fish rule. You know what that is? 2 or 3 days is plenty. After about 3 days, fish, it doesn't smell so good, does it? I don't know if I've helped you a whole lot. I'm looking back over my notes to make sure that I've pretty well covered everything that I wanted to. That big thing, though, was that Social Security payment. If you're counting on 2 payments, even if one of you dies, that does not happen. So please remember that. Do your homework. Try and be as prepared as possible. You know, think about, too, that even if you're taking a Social Security payment and if you're able to work, and I know, again, a lot of you may not be able to work. You may have issues, things like that. Well, hopefully, though, you're getting Social Security disability benefits, because now I looked at that. If I became disabled, my Social Security disability benefit, it's pretty good. It's pretty close to what Pam and I would have gotten together. So they do kind of take care of you there if you're somewhat disabled. But if you're able-bodied, get that part-time job, and believe it or not, even a part-time job combined with your Social Security payment, in some cases, may be more than you're making now working full-time, and you may still be able to put some money aside in savings. Do a Roth IRA. That way you don't get any surprises on taxes. Okay, Roth IRAs are the one blessing we do have in the investment field, and a lot of companies' 401k plans do include the Roth option, and I always say, go for it. Go for the Roth. Go ahead and pay the taxes now so that later on you don't. And thank goodness, what little tiny money I do have is most of it's tied up in a Roth IRA, so that's good. And then also as you get older, you know, interest rates for mortgages, things like that, they're all way up through the roof. But money market accounts are paying decent. They're not huge. My friend Dave Ramsey, who's a great guy, will say, don't park money in a money market for a long period of time, not for investment purposes, but for short term, a year or two right now, when a lot of them are paying 4 and 5%, I would put some money there rather than letting it just sit in a plain old savings account that may not be paying you anything. So, that's other good thing when you're shopping for groceries, things like that. I noticed the other day, even at the dollar store, some of the really big ones, now the big nice dollar stores, they've got produce sections. I saw organic produce. I saw some other organic items and things like that. Because remember, don't buy really cheap, crappy food with lots of bad ingredients in it. All that's going to do is just take years off your life and make you sick, and then you're going to be spending money on insurance or on doctor claims and stuff like that. So you've got to try and keep your body healthy. That's going to lower your cost as well. You know, I know people have seen my cooking videos and such. I spend a lot of time in Trader Joe's. Well, I go there because they have good, clean products, and their prices are reasonable as well. And, you know, here I am at this point in life, and I can honestly say, don't take a single prescription drug. I don't have to go to, at least right now, don't have any need to have to go to a doctor, anything like that. And I do attribute it to the fact that I exercise every day. I try and at the very least, if anything, walk 3 or 4 miles. And I try and eat healthy meals, balanced meals. It's kind of like one of our naturopathic physicians told us once. And let me clarify, naturopathic physicians, they do 6 years med school, 3 years residency. And in some states, they even can go into hospital privileges, things like that. There's a big difference in a naturopathic physician and a holistic healer, things like that. Nothing wrong with any of them. But anyway, a naturopathic physician we had in Denver, who was a former ER physician who changed over to naturopathic medicine, told me one time when it comes to the food front, he says, you know, he says, if you want to cheat every 21 meals, that's okay. Your body can reset and handle that. But 20 out of 21 meals, let's try and keep it healthy. Let's try and get those good vegetables, your dairy products, your meat. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to eat or what to eat. You can go online and you can do all the research you want. But exercise and diet will add to your life. It'll make you feel better. You'll rest better. You'll exercise better. And you'll stay out of the doctor's office so that on those limited Social Security benefits or retirement benefits that you have, you're not spending all your money on doctor visits, okay? That's about it. This is one of my longest messages ever. I covered a lot of things for you here. I hope I've helped you. There's going to be people who are going to tell me I'm out of my mind, I'm stupid, you didn't plan correctly, this is all your fault. Hey, yes, I made mistakes along the way, and I'm sharing with you some of those mistakes and trying to give you some ideas so that things like this don't happen to you. And if they have happened to you, hopefully some of the ideas I gave you are going to help as well. Keep subscribing to our channel, and please share this video somehow, some way, so that we can have one go viral and I can kind of increase my income, okay? I'm being selfish doing that, right? I do apologize. And check out the podcast as well. As we always say, make it a great day. Better yet, a better tomorrow. Bye now, everyone.